When the gases exchange want to take place means they must and should require the some factors for them. What are the factors they require means one is in a thin surface, second one is in a moist skin, or third one is in a vascular system. Thin surface means when there is a line of the organ. I mean, for example, if you take the alveoli means the alveoli was completely lined. Lined means it was made up of or constructed by a single cell membrane, and it was made called those cells as in a squamous epithelium. So when the single layer have means only there the gases exchange will be take place. If they have a thick surface, I mean when they are the alveoli, for example, here only you have to imagine this squamous epithelium was contain the not a single layer, they are contain the multiple layers. Multiple layers means, for example, here the one layer only it was contained. Now in this place of one layer I am drawn as in so many membranes. Means what happened? There is a no gas, there is a no space between the cells. Then what happened? Once the gases was entered into the alveoli, after these gases are unable to enter into the blood capillary, unable to enter into the blood capillary. So that's why when the gases was want to exchange take place means the layer, I mean the membrane must and should was have as in a thin layer, and the second one is in a moist, and third one is in a vascular system. Vascular system is here inside of the your body any fluid. For example, if you see in our body means blood will be helping. In you are taken the microorganism, I mean when you are taken unicellular means single cell organisms. In the single cell organisms there also nutrients and gases exchange will be take place. How it will be take place? Before we discuss it that. In unicellular organisms there is a no specialized organ, but in them on around the genetic material we can able to see the cytoplasm, and that cytoplasm will be helping to them for the transport of food material and gases, and that's why we are calling the in the unicellular cytoplasm as a vascular system. Vascular system means by the help of any fluid, if they are carrying the nutrients or gases means that one we call as a vascular system. In the human beings we have a specialized system for the transport of nutrients and gases, and that one we call as in a circulatory system, and we are simply call that one as in a vascular system. So in the blood what we contain is we can able to see the 55% plasma. In that 55% only we are see the inorganic salts and organic components also presented, and remaining 45% we can see the blood corpuscles. In that blood only we can able to see the hemoglobin will be seen. Hemoglobin means nothing but hemo means iron pigment, iron element, and this iron element was helping in the transport of gases. And how these gases will be transporting, I'll explain it in the third point. Gases transported through the blood, by the blood. How it will be transported, I'll explain it. See here how the gases exchange will be taking place, that one all I am saying for you. So here hemoglobin means iron atom, hemo means iron, globin means protein. Here the protein is not only one single type, they have multiple types will be presented. Alpha globulins, prothrombin, fibrinogen, these kind of proteins are presented in the blood, and they are helps in the different roles, and some of them will be helping in the antibody production, some of them helps in the blood coagulation, and they are performing the different roles. So here if you see that blood will be contained. So here alveoli was lined by the squamous epithelium. At the bottom of this alveoli we can able to see the blood capillary. And now tell me how this gas, if you are taking the blood means the blood will be helps in the transporting of nutrients, gases, I said for you. But here I want to clarify the one thing for you. Sometimes in your early classes, you are learned that, some members will be saying for you, in the blood we can able to see the pure blood and impure blood. Actually, mostly I said for you, I said a one point for you. In the outside people, most of them, they are not using the any scientific terminology, and they are using the common language, and they are what they understood, and according to their conceptuality they are saying the different points, different things about our human physiology. And that time most of the people are said that in our blood we can able to see the pure blood and impure blood. Pure and impure blood means what? Pure and impure blood means what? Means some people are saying that our heart will be making the blood as a pure, our heart will be making the impure, filter the impure blood into filter blood. Like that, so many points you are listening in the outside. But pure and impure blood means what? Pure and impure blood means nothing but, here if you see that this is a one blood, for example, how to imagine this is a blood. For example, if your blood will be contained, if your blood will be carrying the oxygen, they are contain the oxygen more in quantity means that component, that blood we called as a pure blood, we are calling in the common language, but the actually correct one is oxygenated blood. We are called as an oxygenated blood, and that one only we called as an oxyhemoglobin. We are called as an oxyhemoglobin. For example, if you are taking your blood, the blood will be carrying the oxygen, at the same time they are carrying the carbon dioxide. If your blood will be carrying the oxygen means that blood we call as an oxyhemoglobin. We call as an oxyhemoglobin. And tell me what is the color of this blood. For example, if you see that sometimes when you are taking your blood means it will be appeared in the two colors first. Sometimes your blood will be appeared in the bright red in color. Sometimes your blood will be looking towards in the dark red in color. So for example, if they have a dark red in color means what gas was presented more in them. Sometimes in the examination like that only posing the questions. For example, if you see means here the blood will be carrying the oxygen and it was called as an oxyhemoglobin. In the common language you called as a pure blood. And it was having the which color means it was having the color of bright red. It was having the color of bright red. In the same way, if the blood will be carrying the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide means here we are calling the oxygenated carrying blood as an oxyhemoglobin. If they are carrying the carbon dioxide means we are called as a deoxyhemoglobin. We are called as a deoxyhemoglobin. So here when the oxygen carrying is oxyhemoglobin. When they are carrying the carbon dioxide means they are not carrying the oxygen. That's why here I wrote as in D. In front of the oxyhemoglobin, just add a DE letter means it will be turned into deoxyhemoglobin. So here this one in the common language in the outside people are called as an impure blood. And what is the color of this carbon dioxide carrying blood means the carbon dioxide carrying blood was having the color of dark red in color. It was having the color of dark red in color. So that is about the introduction about the vascular system. Now how these gases will be taking exchange will be take place. How these gases was exchange will be take place means, for example here this one you have to imagine as a heart. You have to imagine as a heart. So here if you have to imagine this is a heart means from the heart onwards the deoxygenated blood means oxygenated contaminated carbon dioxide contaminated blood will be they are carrying. For example, if you see the heart will be divided into 4 chambers, right side and left side. Right side will be carrying the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means carbon dioxide contaminated blood. In the left side, this one we call as the left side. This left side will be carrying the oxygenated blood. So here when you are taking the right side portion will be carrying the carbon dioxide contaminated blood, and we call it as a deoxygenated deoxygenated blood, and this blood will be flowing through the one blood vessel and it was reaches to the lungs. So when it was reaches to the lungs after, when the deoxygenated blood carrying blood vessel, when it will be reaches to the lungs after, here when it was reaches after, this blood vessel will be divided into the small tiny capillaries. So for example, if you see this one is a very huge one, but when it was reaches to the lungs after, this blood vessel only divided into small tube-like structures. When the blood vessel will be divided into so many tiny tubes after, these tiny tubes we are calling them as capillaries. We call it as capillaries. And each and every capillary was gone to the inside of the lungs and it was passed to the, it reaches to the every alveoli. So now every alveoli was contained now as one blood capillary. So again here I am explaining for you, every system was interlinked with the other systems. So here if you take the heart means heart will be contain the 4 chambers. For example, if you take the heart means 4 chambers are presented. So basing on this concept on our third concept also different. So here if you take the heart means it will be contain the 4 chambers. Right side will be carrying the deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means carbon dioxide contaminated blood. In the left side we can able to see the oxygenated blood. So from the right side onwards one blood vessel will be rise, and what is the blood vessel, what is the name, I will explain it in the third lesson, not now, actually not required, I don't want to confuse more. So from the right side onwards one blood vessel comes and it was carrying the deoxygenated blood. So when this blood vessel will be reaches to the lungs, when it will be comes near to the lungs after, this blood vessel will be now divided into so many tiny tubes. For example, if you see here, when it will be reaches to the lungs after, up to now you have only one single tube only. But when it was reaches to the lungs after, now this one will be divided into so many tiny tubelets will be formed. So when all these tiny tubes will be formed after, what we calling each and every tiny tube, this one whose one we call as a blood vessel. But when it will be divided into small tiny tubes, means that one we call as a capillaries. When it will be formed the capillaries after, each and every capillary will be reaches and it will be entered into the alveoli. So when it will be gone to the alveoli after, this one we call as a capillaries. We call as a capillaries. So when it will be reaches to the alveoli after, now the bronchioles onwards the gases was entered into the alveoli. I mean when the gases was entered into the alveoli after, now in these gases what the gas will be presented more means, here we can able to see the oxygen percentage will be more. And here if you see the blood vessel in the bottom of the alveoli they are presented. And here which component, I mean which thing will be presented more means, you already know that which blood they are carrying, carbon dioxide contaminated blood. So here what happens is the carbon dioxide will be more. So here alveoli, in the alveoli oxygen is a more means, in the blood carbon dioxide more. So here our body was required the oxygen, they are not required the carbon dioxide. So that's why what happens means, in the blood already we see the iron element. Iron was carrying the carbon dioxide. Now what they will be doing is, this iron will be releasing the carbon dioxide from the blood to alveoli. I mean here the iron element will be releasing carbon dioxide. So when the carbon dioxide released into the alveoli after, there is a when they are released after, here they will be empty. The space was empty. Immediately what happens means, in the opposite the iron element will be capture the oxygen from the alveoli onwards. So now you see here means iron will be releasing the carbon dioxide into the alveoli and they are taking in the opposite, from the alveoli onwards they are taking the oxygen. I mean here what we are seeing, gases exchange will be take place. So here iron element was releasing the carbon dioxide after, they are taken, I mean they are accepted oxygen from the alveoli onwards. I mean here the gases exchange will be take place. So after the oxygen will be taken after, this blood will be turned into pure. I mean it will be turned into oxygenated blood. We call it as an oxygenated blood. Here the gases exchange will be done after, deoxygenated blood will be turned into oxygenated blood. So after that this blood capillary will be comes into the outside. So here once the blood capillary, blood vessel, and it will be entered into the lungs after, it will be divided into so many small tiny tube-like structures and we are calling that one as a capillaries, and each and every capillary will be reaches to the every alveoli. When it will be reaches to the alveoli after, there the gases exchange will be take place. How it will be take place means, in the blood we can able to see the iron element. That iron element will be releasing the carbon dioxide into the alveoli after. From the alveoli onwards it will be accepted the oxygen. Exchange was done. After that one done after, this blood will be turned into oxygenated blood. After this capillary will be comes into the outside. When the capillary will be comes into the outside after, there are so many capillaries in the alveoli. Why means you already know that this blood vessel will be divided into so many capillaries and each and every capillary will be gone to the every alveoli. So when it will be capillaries will be have every alveoli after, all these capillaries will be comes into the outside. All these capillaries comes into the outside after, they are again joined together, they are formed as a blood vessel. Blood vessel onwards they are formed as a blood capillaries after. Again these blood capillaries, when it will be coming into the outside time, again all are joined and they formed as a one blood vessel. That one is called as they have one more name for them, that one I will explain it in the third lesson. And actually what we call him is pulmonary vein we call it, but no need now, that one I will explain it in the third lesson. So when it will be comes into the outside after, that blood vessel will be carrying the oxygen blood and all that blood will be reaches to the left side portion. Left side portion reaches after, again from them onwards the body completely they are distributed. So this is how the gases exchange will be take place in the alveoli level. I think you understood that. And what is the principle was involved here means, here the principle was involved, that one as a diffusion. What is the principle was involved means diffusion. And diffusion means a solute moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. There is a one more principle I have, that one is the osmosis, but here gases exchange was done at the Alveoli level means diffusion, not osmosis. Osmosis means solvent move from higher concentration to lower concentration. Already learned in our 9th class, 4th lesson, plasma membrane osmosis, a grape and egg experiment. There you learned that. So the third one is gases transported by the blood. That one we have to discuss.